And as Julia said, well, all righty then. We're here this morning. We're just plain living, and I'm John Gray.
Good morning, John Gray. I'm Peggy Burton.
Man, go ahead.
I was going to say, sitting here next to Jim Fuller. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
We got one day of sunshine.
It's
Yes, we
beautiful
did.
outside.
It
We
is.
need to stop and thank our lucky stars.
That was yesterday, and we're going to have a little bit of it today, and then the rain's coming back for
We've
3
had our share
days.
of rain, haven't we not?
We really have.
Big rain.
Yeah, nice.
I've got a big lake behind my house almost.
And you know what is wonderful and kind of sad at the same time is you walk outside and you see all these trees in bloom.
I know. It's
And
pretty.
the weather's faked them out,
Yeah.
and we probably won't have any apples or plums this year because they're all blooming out, and it's
And
going to
they're
get
gonna
cold
freeze,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is.
the
Maybe not.
jonquils are everywhere, and it's just, man, it's good to see some color.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the thing that's the biggest around my house is those little old tiny flying ladybugs. Do you have any of those?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere.
Where does the sun hit your house? How does the sun, does it hit your
It
front?
hits in the back where the sunroom is, and that's where the ladybugs are.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. I built a house in Nolensville up on a hill, and it was about 12,000 feet and square feet, and it was sort of a white Diablo Mexican-looking white brick.
Ooh, it sounds good.
And I pulled up there one day, and the sun hit the 3-story in the back. But the sun hit the front of that place, and I pulled up there one morning, and I thought, that house is pink. How did that house get pink overnight?
Was it covered in
It
bugs?
was covered in ladybugs.
No kidding.
I bet you there were 10 million ladybugs on that
Well,
house.
you know, I even had a company come out and spray inside, outside, you know, put out all that stuff they do for whatever bugs there are. And I think it got rid of a lot of them because there was a lot dead. But
Oh,
they
you've got
tell
a bunch of them, that's
They
what you're
tell
saying.
me that you cannot guarantee anything you put out there,
No.
that they'll all be gone. And then a lady told me that you could spray them with lemon juice. So
How many lemons would that take?
a few.
Kroger doesn't have enough lemons to do that.
You know, I just back them till they're getting less. I think this morning I found 5, so maybe they're disappearing.
Well, I usually have one every year that spends vacation in my bathroom, my upstairs bathroom.
Did you realize they're an endangered species? And,
Well, yeah, they are.
they're-
People don't realize when we go to killing all this
Did I
stuff what
talk
they
about this
do.
last week? Did it?
No,
No. No.
people don't realize what they do. You know what they pollinate and don't pollinate, and I mean all those things are there for a purpose.
Well, they're not pollinating anything in my house.
And John, the one he had in his bathroom, if I recall, John made friends with this ladybug, and he talked to it
Oh,
on
yeah,
a regular
yeah.
basis, you know, and which might indicate that John's losing it, but
There you
not,
go.
that's just the way John
no,
is.
you never can tell.
the
You never can
crowning
tell whether
blow.
they'll hear you or not.
The crowning blow was I had this nice cup of coffee ready to drink, and I started to put it to my lips, and a ladybug dropped in it.
Oh my goodness!
Maybe she
Anyway.
needed to swim.
Probably.
Speaking
That's
of,
such a little thing in the big picture. I shouldn't have even brought it up.
speaking of John losing it, I ran.
Wait a minute.
That's not news.
Wait a minute.
I ran into this really nice lady at Walmart last week after we'd done the show, and you and I apparently were talking about some of our wilder days, and I don't think she saw the entire segment, but she heard that part of it and said, "I just never figured you and John for that."
And you said it was fake news,
I
right?
know. I said, you got to realize that when John and I were about 20 when all that happened.
Yeah.
That we haven't been like, we haven't
We just
acted
have
like
to
that in
forgive you.
years.
We just
Like
have
that
to
a long
forgive you.
time.
Yeah. I mean, Paul Blackwell is in the studio this morning, Tullahoma Police Chief, and
He could lock you guys up in a heartbeat.
he could have at that point, yes. But I'm guessing, Paul's a really nice guy and straight as an arrow, But I'm guessing that when he was 18 or 19 years old, he might have done a few things, that you would not believe out of Chief
Exactly.
Blackwell. Just like all of it.
Well,
So,
that's being a kid.
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
a kid's being a kid. I think the Hobbits, if anybody reads Tolkien and knows the Hobbit stuff, they don't become of age until 33.
yeah.
Well,
And that's
kind
about the right
That's about
time.
the way it is here.
When we all kind of figure out, you wake up. Just because you're 18 or 21 and
Yeah.
you're of age doesn't mean that you have the life experience to
No,
make
absolutely.
proper decisions,
Absolutely.
that's when you go crazy.
I remember a
You're crazy
line-
between 18 and 33.
A line from West Side Story. You was never my age.
Yeah.
I think I grew up when my daughter was born.
Yeah,
That's
that
when
really,
it kind of hit me.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
things are
I
changing.
think so.
And everything,
I
you
think
gotta,
so. Got to get serious.
Yeah, that's right.
But don't grow up. You don't have to grow up.
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts to grow up. I'm all for growing up.
No,
Speaking of growing up, Peggy.
I'm for growing old. I'm not for growing up.
Did you know Peggy had a birthday last week?
Oh my gosh.
And
Do we have to
we
talk
forgot
about it?
that.
We
didn't
forgot that. We did not mention that.
I was 39 yet again.
Yeah, that's right.
Good for you.
Peggy also won some award from the Boy Scouts of
That's right.
America. We did not talk about that
We
either.
didn't talk about that, but that was very touching. I'm so
Yeah.
impressed to be honored by a group that teaches young people to survive in this world.
Yeah.
It was very nice, and I'm very appreciative.
Peggy holds a whole lot of things close to the vest.
Mm-hmm.
She's not one to spout about herself.
No.
Although many accolades she deserves, she's never one to want to be taking them.
Well, there's one person doesn't do everything.
No.
There's
not at all.
just like I say, it takes a village to raise a child, to do something in the community. It takes a lot of people, and we have a great community all
Yes, we
throughout
do.
Coffee County.
Oh, we do. We do.
We really do. We're blessed.
We're good. We're good. And I was watching a show. I was talking about it before Jimmy came. Watching a show yesterday, a documentary on showrunners, and it's about the people who create television series and what it takes to write one of those things and keep it on the air and finding the right actors. And so I say that to say they were talking about one show that went off the air, and they backed up and showed a picture of them, and there was like 40
Writers.
I mean, just, the writing room probably has 15 people. Creative writing room has 15 or so people, but to create something like that, like you say, it's not one person. Oh yeah, you got Gene Roddenberry's name
Yeah, but
under Star Trek, but it
there's
took
a bunch of
thousands of
people.
people to make that happen.
It's like writing anything. You get an idea, and then if you throw it out to a bunch of creative people, that idea can develop into something really cool, either funny or serious or whatever. It's the more
And you
better.
have to be. And one of the things that was made very obvious there was you have to pick your battles. You can't go to war with the guy with the money, because he can cut you off in an instant.
Yeah.
And you have to be receptive to other people's ideas, because just because you have an idea and you think it's a complete idea, it might not be as good as it can be.
Right.
And it takes more than one person researching and looking into this and developing subplots and all. It was a very interesting documentary. I say all of that to say you're correct 100%. Without all the people behind the scenes, and just like the ones on the side of the stage who keep the props out and keep the people coming in on time and all that, without them it could never happen.
However, I have to tell you, as a child, there was nobody around. I directed great things.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I spread my community of work all around the hills and the fields and to the goats and to the cows.
Have you ever seen the movie August Rush?
No.
Yeah, well, you need to see the movie August Rush if you hadn't seen it, being a creative person and a show person. And it starts in a wheat field, and all you see is wheat. And the music, this beautiful music's playing, and the camera comes in, and there's about a 6-year-old boy standing out there directing the wheat.
Sweet.
And it's about a young man whose mother and father were both musicians and broke up, and he ended up in a home. And it's sort of like Oliver Twist. Was it Oliver Twist? The one that went into the place and they were little thieves and stuff.
Yes, Oliver.
Well, he ends up in a place where there's a guy who sends out little musicians on
Cool.
corners, and he takes all their mail, report back to him.
Oh, that was a good idea.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
That's a
great
great
movie, and
idea,
Robin
yeah.
Williams is the guy who's the bad guy in that. And I've never seen him play a
I
role
miss
like
Robin
that.
Williams.
August
Oh, my.
Rush. If you haven't seen the movie
I will look
August
for that.
Rush, go find it. Go to Blip Books or whatever you do. Flip charts, hip hop or Hulu or however. There's so many ways to find stuff now.
There is.
Goo Bar.
We have
It's all
some good
out
people
there.
on the show today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We have our
And
police chief, and we have Manchester's
Jamie Harden.
oldies,
Yeah.
Jamie Harden. He's not an oldie himself, but he
No.
promotes
He's
it
not-
and he produces it.
What is it?
And he's coming to
Oldie
South
goodies.
Jackson.
He's the goodie side of the oldie and goodies. Is what he is.
And they're coming to South Jackson, so
Oh, yeah,
I'm excited
yeah.
about that.
And then I think Kat Murray's doing her show this Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's right.
His story told by her, and it will be
The
to
Michael Jackson stuff.
tribute, and it will be the funding from that. She always gives all the money away. We'll go to a Shepherd's House this year.
Kat Murray is such a giving person.
Oh, she's
Oh
incredible.
my goodness, she is incredible. What an asset to this community and to all the organizations that she supports.
Yeah, and so Juilliard Television over has gone out, so we don't know how much time we have left. So that's just a sidebar right there. You know,
We have, for you folks who don't know, there's a monitor to the side of our stage that tells us how much time is left in
when
the
the
segment.
useless drivel is over.
Yeah. And they forgot to turn that on today, so.
Well, it was on a minute ago, then it sort of disappeared.
Oh.
And
It's Easter
I
time.
was thinking about that, and bunnies and eggs and chickens, and I hope people don't go out and buy a bunch
Speaking
of
of
baby
bunnies,
chickens and give them away.
I don't think they do baby
I hope-
chickens
I
anymore.
hope not.
Speaking of bunnies, didn't you have a friend that was a Playboy bunny?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I know that's not the
But
kind of
part
bunnies we're talking about,
yeah.
but.
You know, I wouldn't have minded being a Playboy bunny if I'd had all the stuff it took to do it. Yeah.
I believe you could have done that, baby.
You could have done that.
Yeah.
You could have done that without surgery.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about
Without surgery. Hey, they told us it's this right here. So don't go away. We'll be back after this commercial break with the rest of today's show. Be right back.
Russell's got your truck, man. Russell's got your truck. Chevy, Ford, and Ram, man. Russell's got your truck. With the best selection anywhere. Russell's got your truck.
Where can you find all four all-American truck brands all at one place? Check us out on the web at russellbarnett.com. If you still can't decide, give us a call. We'll line them up for you. Either way, my question is, why buy your next truck anywhere else?
Russell's got your truck, man.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, welcome back, folks. This is our segment we call Police Pointers. Paul Blackwell, of course, is the star of this segment. Paul and I were speaking of how we, as anybody that's got any good sense, would do is when our wives suggest we do something, we try to make sure that we do that. So you know,
Give me my orders.
Yeah, and I want you folks to know that holds true, even if you're the police chief.
Yes.
Yes, and you still have to do that.
Yes.
And I guess probably being reasonably intelligent people, we probably should get off that subject before we really get ourselves in trouble. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think we're letting our wives know that they're in charge.
Exactly, absolutely.
I don't know if we can get in trouble for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We admit it.
Yep, no
Yeah.
argument.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know when you're beaten, just
Yeah.
give up.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. But we're happy to do it, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah. We are going to talk about something very interesting and something that you all do at one time or another, I'm pretty sure.
Speed.
Speed.
Speeding.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
You know, and it's always something that we as police have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, everybody has speeded at some point in their life. You know, if you're driving, at some point you've gotten in a hurry and exceeded the speed limit. And unfortunately, when you know, if you exceed it to a certain limit, you're going to get sanctioned, get a citation. So part of what we did.
Paul, hey, in case you probably can't see this, but Paul's mic is malfunctioning, and they're trying to fix it without it.
Am I good?
Yeah. There we go. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
But you know, speed enforcement is something that we do on a regular basis, and some of the things we've done in Tullahoma to make people aware of their speed is put out solar speed signs. We've got 8 of them in the community right now. We just installed our 8th one a couple weeks ago up on North Jackson. So as you're coming in from Moore County, Bedford County, as soon as you enter the city limits, we have a solar speed sign there that flashes the speed and basically says you're going too fast or slow it down. And these solar speed signs, you know, really are very technical. I mean, we go in and we can program them for different settings and different messages and, you know, things of this nature. What we tell people, though, is we don't take pictures. These are not speed enforcement cameras. So we're not taking your picture. Some of them do have the ability to take a picture. Say we set a maximum speed of, say, 75. And at 75, it'll take a picture. It can take a picture of your vehicle. That way, we can use that for enforcement to say, okay, we've gotten this car coming through 3 days in a row at 75 miles an hour. We need to be out there at,
That's interesting.
at say 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Right.
and watch for this green or red car or whatever it may be coming through. So we can use it in that fashion, but it's not a speed camera similar to what we've heard of in the news.
Now, and the speed limit in Tullahoma in most places is 30 to 40 miles an hour.
If it's not posted, it's 30 miles an hour by statute.
Right. So if you're doing 75, you're way
Yeah.
above
And
that.
I'm just using that for an example. But when we put that speed sign up on North Jackson, we ran a couple diagnostics on it to make sure everything was working right. And Lieutenant came in and told me we did get a couple 69 mile an hour coming into Tullahoma. So, and it's a 40 mile an hour speed zone. So that did raise a little bit of concern that, all right, we need to run some analysis and, you know, get some data and see if we have some that are truly coming into town at that speed and directing our patrols based on that. And then, of course, we have our speed trailer that we move around to different parts of town. And that one, again, can do all this fancy stuff. It can do gather statistics for us. It doubles as a message board, and it will take pictures, and it'll send that picture to us to a computer that we've set at a certain parameter. So again, that same principle that, okay, if we've had a car that came through here at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, it'll take a picture of it. We can see it, and then we can, you know, do our enforcement based on that.
Is there just one of those?
One speed trailer, yes.
Okay.
And we move it to different locations.
So the other ones you were speaking of are stationary?
Stationary.
Yeah, okay.
But we have, they are designed to where we could take them off the pole and move them to a different location. We've got a couple poles in Tullahoma that don't have the signs on them. So if we needed to move them to that location, we could do that. So if you go drive around town, you see a nice decorative black pole that doesn't have anything on it, that's another potential location for us to move that sign to.
And before I forget, now it displays your speed, but if I recall, if it's flashing, you're going too fast. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll have the set speed. So let's say the speed limit's 40. And if you come in at 35, it'll just show you 35. But if you're coming in at 45, it'll be flashing at you. And that's the indicator that you may want to pay attention. You're going too fast.
And you folks may or may not remember this, but when Paul previewed the first one of those, one of the aldermen asked about it at a board meeting, and he said, wanted to know why it's flashing. And Paul, in a very diplomatic way, said that meant you were speeding. That's why it's flashing at him.
Yeah. So, they're all around town, and they're designed to make people just aware and to slow down. Speed is very important. We write a lot of citations for going 16 miles an hour over the speed limit. I'm always, each month when I do the statistics, it just, I don't say amazes me because I don't want to sound as though I'm surprised, but how many people we're writing tickets for going over 16 miles an hour
and that's
over the speed limit. That's significant.
Yeah. Is that reckless driving?
Depending on the circumstances, it could be.
Yeah,
like if it's, say, a school zone or where there's some other factor that would make it reckless, but it can be.
Yeah, I find the ones that are in the school zone quite helpful because you a lot of times you don't think about it till you're right on it. And you see that sign up there flashing, wait a minute, this is 15 miles an hour here, And, so.
And in Tullahoma, all school zones are 15 miles an hour. And in all our school zones, we have the flashing lights. So, there is ample warning that you need to slow down when the lights are flashing.
Yeah, and just for the record, and Paul didn't tell me this, but Tullahoma Police Department is pretty serious about these school zones, and they're patrolled quite well. So, you could you need to pay attention as well.
And we have our crossing guards that are out there that are helping the kids get across the street. So and they're out there every day. So if there is a car that repetitively or repeatedly speeds through there, they'll let us know, and the same thing, we'll use that as a means to conduct some enforcement.
Right.
We often laugh, and you and I have talked about it, in school zones, people will sometimes get a ticket and they'll say, well, I didn't know it was a school zone, and we always like to ask them, well, did you not realize it when you're passing all these cars up that are going really, really?
Exactly.
Did you not wonder why are these cars going really, really slow?
Right, exactly.
And, of course, it's sometimes comical that, when you've been in law enforcement for any amount of time, you hear a lot of explanations as to why people have done things. And a lot of times it's just not paying attention to your driving.
Right.
And how many times I've been told my speedometer's broken, or and it's like, that doesn't justify you. You need to either get it fixed or don't pass anybody. Make sure someone is always in front of you.
Right.
And so there's a lot of those type things that come into play that it's just lack of paying attention. And speeding tickets can cost you about $165.
Yeah, and not only that, you get enough of them.
You get enough of them, the state's going to knock on your door.
Exactly.
With a little letter that says, please turn your driver's license in.
Plus your insurance company's not going to be real happy with you either.
Yeah, so just like a motor vehicle accident, it's not just that one incident that gets affected, but it has a way of perpetuating itself, like you say, the insurance, your driver's license, and the damage to your vehicle. And so we just ask people to slow down, be cognizant of their driving.
Right.
Of course, the state is trying to help now with some of the cell phone laws and things of that nature, and restricting who can use cell phones, where you can use it at, to make you start paying attention to your driving.
And we probably don't have enough time to discuss that on today's show, but there are some rules about cell phones and such.
Right. We had some significant changes this year, January 1st.
Right. Okay.
So we can talk about that another time.
Yeah. Okay. And we're just trying to help you folks. I mean, the police department, I don't think, is out here really wanting to give people tickets and such. But, you got to realize if you have an accident or hit a child or something, the school zone, for one thing, it's horrible for everybody. So,
Yeah. And I would say that probably, just as you said, the majority of officers don't like necessarily writing citations, but we know that we have to do it because sometimes it's repeat people over and over and over again.
Right.
But we still issue warnings as well.
Right.
So.
All right. Paul, thanks so much for coming by today.
Thanks for having me.
Always great information, folks. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back in a moment with more living right after this.
Attention Shoeistas, Brenn's Shoe Boutique in Tullahoma is closing forever. Every item in the store is reduced for immediate sale. Brenda is offering huge discounts on her entire inventory of fashion women's shoes, designer handbags, and jewelry, featuring famous brands like Yellow Box, Nine West, Bandolero, Impo, Coach, Michael Kors, Joseph Ribkoff, and others. The sale is underway now through March 3rd. Hurry in for huge savings at Brenn's Shoe Boutique, 115 Northwest Atlantic Street, Tullahoma. Open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday.
The Animal Shelter has served Tullahoma dogs for nearly 30 years. Now, you can help us build a bigger and better no-kill shelter. Your tax-deductible gift is matched dollar for dollar, so come on, bark it forward and donate now to have your tax-deductible gift matched. Make your check payable to the COT Shelter Building Fund and go to tullahomatn.gov to see all the unique gifts available for your generosity. For more details, you can call City Hall at 455-2648.
Hello everyone, I'm John Rickman, and this is
Pat Welch, and we're here with segment number 9, which is gonna be fine, of conversations with John and Pat.
I'm the rhymer, Pat.
I'm sorry, excuse me. What do you got on that guitar today, John, that rhymes?
We have a song called Oh Maud. It's about fishing. When I was young, we had a creek behind our house, and we spent many, many hours there fishing, swimming in it, and making rafts, building rafts, riding on rafts, and we had the greatest time back there. And I got to say that if I can get through this song with remembering all the words, that's one thing. I think Elvis had that problem too from time to time.
I'm sure.
Not that
Conway Twitty and
not that we're comparing me with them, but anyway, they've had some trouble too. But this is a wordy little song called "Oh Maud." Gonna cut me a cane pole, dig me some worms, make me a hook from a pin. Gonna mosey on back to the fishing hole and try my luck again. Gonna pull out a shoestring and make me a limb line baited with a bumblebee. Gonna catch that big one they call Old Maud down in Caney Creek. Well, Caney Creek runs through our farm, it's not very deep or wide. But that old big one they call Old Maud's found her a place to hide. Gonna make me a bobber from a sewing spool, a stringer out of baling wire. Catch me some crickets in a holler log and put them in a mason jar. Gonna turn up a rock and look for a crawdad, find me a helgie mite. Gonna seine me some minnows through a burlap sack, Old Maud's got an appetite. I sneak up the bank and I see Old Maud swimming in the noonday sun. I throw my line in next to her and watch my bobber run. She nibbled on the minnows and wiggly worms, crickets and helgie mites. Then I caught that pinched her on the nose and I feel Old Maud strike. She stretched my line and she bent my pole as I pulled her to the shade. Then a snap, pop, my cane pole broke and Old Maud swam away. I stood on the bank and I cussed Old Maud, but I made her a promise then. I'll buy me a store-bought rod and reel Mr. Osteen, the principal over at East Junior High School. This jacket back here is an East
Yes,
Junior
sir.
High jacket. He middle school jacket. Oh, well, that's East Junior High, but we changed. We reorganized and became the middle school. And Mr. Osteen was from Caney Springs, outside of Chapel Hill, and he used to give me information when I was writing that song, a little thing about Helgamites and about this and that. So I just wrote it about Caney Creek. Never fished in Caney Creek before, but I just felt like it belonged in Caney Springs.
Well, you've taken me, John, out to the Caney Creek area on some of our Chapel Hill romps at times.
Yeah, they got rock quarries over there now quite a bit.
Well, it would have been a great place for a rock quarry.
You know,
I've never seen such a rocky farming area.
Yeah.
Mr. Osteen was tough by necessity. You couldn't farm that farm.
To be able to make a living on a piece of rock, you know, you have to be a pretty good farmer.
Right.
But we could
was Claude
supply-
Osteen
Claude
the pitcher
Osteen, the pitcher, he was one of the pitching rotation of the 1965 championship Dodgers.
Right.
And
now they were
Sandy
cousins?
Koufax, they were first cousins.
Okay.
Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, they lost their first two games. And then Claude, we called him Mudcat. Mudcat was his name. But he won the third game, and then Don Drysdale and Koufax were able to win their next games, and they went on to win the series. But Mr. Osteen, you know, he'd say, Claude, he was our bat boy. You know, he was older than Claude, and Claude was a youngster. And I tell you what, those boys could really play baseball, though, Mr. Osteen and his three brothers.
Mr. Osteen was a really good athlete.
He was a good athlete.
I think I've told you, I went to a Wrestling Hall of Fame banquet for the state of Tennessee one time, and a gentleman was inducted that had some Tullahoma ties. In fact, his son taught art here, Joe Black Hayes. Yeah. And his family, each of the recipients had a table where they had mementos and so forth. And Coach Hayes had a lot of MTSU annuals out, and he helped with football. He was the head coach in wrestling. They had a little wrestling team, I think it was non-scholarship. And but he had the annuals out. Mr. Osteen was a starting guard. He couldn't have been but about 5'7", could he, John? He was a short man.
He was quick.
Oh,
he was quick.
And he wrestled, and he played baseball. And in the wrestling picture, they had him just in kind of like knickers, with stripped from the waist up.
Yeah.
And he looked like a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
I mean, he was built
I'll tell you a
like
little
Charles
story
Atlas.
about Milner Carden. Milner ran track at MTSU, and they knew each other.
And coached at East.
And Milner sometime would come over to East, and he said, I think I'm just going to whip you today. So he'd jump on Mr. Osteen's back, and Mr. Osteen's glasses would be like this, you know, sideways on his head. But he would come on top, and he'd put Milner down on his back. You know, we don't. Milner's passed away. We shouldn't talk about him this way. But he'd be awful proud to be mentioned.
That's right.
And we're going to Rotary Day, and we always think about him when we go to Rotary because he was a Rotary member with us.
Right.
But Mr. Osteen was just a grand guy. Oh, talking about Milner Carden, there's a story I'd like to tell you about when they had this year. They had the class of 65. It was last year. They had the class of 65 reunion of Tullahoma High. And Milner and Martha, they came while he was still living back that time. And
that had been when he first, Coach Carden had just been sent to the high school to start a track program.
I'm sure that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's probably about the time.
Yeah.
He might have, he was. He was at high school, I'm sure, at that
Which
time.
would have followed a great time with him coaching at East.
But he was a coach at East and knew some of these kids as an East coach, and then he knew the West kids, a lot of them. But anyway, Tommy Gillum, my friend, he's told me it's all right to tell this. Tommy Gillum sees Coach Carden at the reunion. He says, "Hello, Coach." He says, "Hello, Tommy. You was the best player I ever had." He's talking about football when he coached at East. Tommy said, "But Coach, I played at West." "That's what I mean, Tommy. You was the best player I ever had." But those are great times, and always a pleasure to mention Milner Carden, Mr. Osteen. Fond memories we have of both of them.
Right. I'm looking for a segue to another story, John. I believe I've just hit it. You were talking about the East and so forth. At West, towards the end of Coach Card's time, they had a Bobby Newby had come to, and he was a great baseball player. I think he may play a little minor league baseball, and did a great job at West, and then he went to TPS and had a state championship football team. He went to Dyersburg from there, and then he finished in Warren County. Had some great teams there. But I found a picture of one of his last teams at West, and Kenny Banks was in the bottom row, which makes me think of a story, and I hope we don't get cut off.
We might if you don't hurry.
Well, Kenny and his brother Randy were pretty good roustabouts when they'd been 12, 13 or so, something like that. And their dog came up missing. They lived out on White Oak Street around Highland Baptist. And they just heartbroken. Searched the neighborhood over on the west side of town for that dog and couldn't find it. But Kenny finally remembered after about a week that Mr. Banks had L.E. Banks, his initials on it, and phone number on the collar. So he thought maybe the pound has picked up our dog. So they called and said, sure enough, the dog was there. Described it and said, yeah, it's here. It said, well, what's it say on the collar? I said, well, it says L.E. Banks and phone number. And he said, well, you never called. And they said, well, we meant to, but if you come down, and by the way, you need $21.25 or something, which would have been like $300 in or something. They had to take up mass collection around the neighborhood to bail the dog out. But they got the dog, had a tearful reunion, and came home just really pleased. But as the night went on, they got madder and madder and madder about him taking that dog and holding it, not calling them. So they waited about 1 o'clock in the morning and got a bunch of tools and snuck out of the house and went down to the pound and cut a hole about 3 foot by 3 foot in the chain link wire and set about 50 dogs at that thing. And I asked Randy, what did the scene look like? He said, well, every dog hit full speed with a big smile on his face. He said, it looked like a scene from a Walt Disney movie. And they both said that we could tell that story, so I guess we're all free.
We're all right.
We better shut her down for segment 9, and it was fine. This is Conversations with John and Pat. We're out.
Let's see ya.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, no. This warrior will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Welcome back. I am so glad today I have Jamie Harden with me, the oldies Supreme Director. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
It's great to have you. You know, we're having him at the South Jackson Civic Center on the 10th of March. I hope you'll be there.
Yes.
So, what do you want to tell us?
Well, it's coming up quick. It jumped up on us
I know.
the short February month.
It's already March almost.
I know. We were looking at the calendar. I was like, hey, this is like 2 weeks from today. So it's a week from this Saturday, the 10th.
I think we decided to start at 7:30.
I think it's 7.
Is it going to be 7?
I was told
okay.
7, yes.
Forgive me. There
Yeah.
we go. There's
It's
the
7,
sign.
yeah.
It's 7 o'clock, March 10th. Tickets, just write all that down. Call in for tickets because I think they're going fast.
They are. It's starting to move really
Yeah.
fast. The floor is about already
Almost
gone.
about full,
And the
and
balcony,
so-
we've sold a lot in the balcony already. So
It's a great show. How long have you been doing the Elvis show?
this is actually our third Elvis show that we've done. We've done the first one 4 years ago.
I think that's the one I saw.
Yes, ma'am, down in Manchester, and we've done it at the park in McMinnville last year. I try to do it every year somewhere.
Just to keep it.
Right, because we have five shows that we rotate wherever we go.
I am so impressed with the fact that you can run 5 different shows.
Well, it's tough because, like in my brain, I'm working on all of them all the time.
Yeah,
so.
and you're trying to keep all the circuits going, and
right.
it's a wonderful job you do. Some of your major characters, you want to name them?
You mean like artists that we...
Artists that you use in
well,
the
of course,
show.
Elvis, you know, we do Chuck Berry, Little Richard, the Beach Boys, love the Beach Boys, the Beatles, we do all the girl groups, we do doo-wop, Jerry Lee Lewis, Buddy Holly, of course I do Buddy Holly, it's one of my favorites, all the classics.
And in this show that you're doing of Elvis, is it every bit of it's Elvis music?
Oh, it's
and
all
people
Elvis.
need to understand it's not really like
Oh, it's not an impersonation.
imitating him.
No. I'm kind of...
You're honoring him, I think.
Yes, I
That's
mean,
the way I look at it.
we've got shows where we sort of do that, but this is a serious tribute. You know, it's not like a gimmick type thing.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and they're funny about that. You know, when I deal with Elvis's people, they're like, they don't want you doing anything.
See, I was impressed that you got the, what do you call it, the franchise or whatever to do an Elvis show.
They're really easy to work with.
You can't just pop up and do the show.
No, and they're kind of specific on, you know, they're very specific. You know, they don't want you making fun, you know, making a joke of it. So
You have
I'm
a
like,
favorite
oh,
Elvis song?
Oh gosh,
It's
man,
hard to,
that's a
it's
tough
hard
one.
to pick it, isn't it?
It is. I really like Suspicious Minds.
Yeah.
And I like American Trilogy, which we'll be doing.
That, you know, that stays in my memory. When I saw you all do that in Manchester and the song had not even ended when everybody was on their feet.
Right.
That was amazing. That was one of the most beautiful renditions.
It is, and I really like, I kind of like the older Elvis stuff. I like Way Down. You know, that one's good. And of course, you've got Jailhouse Rock. It's kind of hard to narrow it down. But one of the favorite ones I do is Separate Ways.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's a good song. So
all you Elvis lovers or people that just like a good show, be sure and get your ticket. I think tickets are $20.
They're $20.
$20
$20 across the board.
And I don't know, there may be an attachment as far as ticket development, but the ticket's basically $20. And all you have to do is you can go online and get a ticket, or you can call the office. You can try showing up.
Right.
And there might be a few seats, but
Probably
I think it's a
not.
good idea to have your ticket bought and paid for.
Right.
So you can get in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And like I say, we have, this is our full band, you know, have all my horn section and everything, which is...
I love that you've added a horn section. You didn't have that forever, did you? Or have you
just in
used it?
spots.
Just in spots.
But in the Elvis show, it's, you know, when we're doing Elvis from the very beginning to the end. So in the 70s and stuff, you know, that was really his signature thing, was adding the horns.
Adding some horns.
That's probably my favorite.
So do you play sometimes?
I do. I play...
You're a trumpet player, aren't you?
I do play trumpet. When I'm not singing, I'm playing the
So
trumpet
what all
in this
horns
one.
do you use?
Well, we have trumpet, we have trombone, we have violin, flute, clarinet, alto, tenor, sax. Well, that's all the horns we have.
But that's a pretty
One
good-
guy plays like
yeah.
3, you
Yeah.
know, so we have like 8 people in the band, and then it's not counting the piano and the guitar and the bass.
Well, you have a huge assortment of great musicians,
Yes, ma'am.
both vocally and instrumentally, and
Right.
it looks to me like you keep them very busy.
We do. Like I say, we're working on, we've got 2 shows in Crossville 2 weeks after this show, which is our oldie show, our whole 50s through 70s show. And then we have Classic Country coming up in Cannon County, and then I have my holiday show that we do. Got a bunch of those, and then I'm writing a new 80s show for
Great.
September. It's all 80s, so we
That's
got 5
nice.
shows that are always
80s
working on.
that's a crowd of people that something I've noticed through my life is that when the music of the 80s, when their children start to get old enough to hear music,
Right.
then they're going to want to hear that music.
Sure.
So you're going to hit a great crowd.
Well, that's the way I was. I was only allowed to listen to things my parents listened to.
Right.
That's why I like
And
Elvis
that's why
and stuff.
you got him
And then-
involved in Elvis and
Right.
a lot of the older music.
Right.
But I think Elvis, his music sort of crossed a lot of boundaries.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
gospel, blues,
Yep,
Uh,
it did.
just a lot of different
It did,
types of
and-
music.
And a lot of people, the artists, still go back to Elvis, although he might not have been the only one, but he's one that most of those artists point back to. Hey, Elvis made this possible for us
Exactly.
to do this. But a lot of the research I've done on it was just amazing how many people, you know, that were in awe of Elvis, even like the Beatles and people that you think, well, they thought Elvis was it, you know.
Yeah. But since you've researched Elvis, when did he start singing? Do you have an idea?
Well, his first thing was right before he was in high school. He done a talent show at the high school, and he sang at the state fair. I believe it was in Arkansas, I believe.
I think it might have
Or
been.
maybe it was Mississippi. I'm sorry, it's Mississippi. This is when he done Old Chip. But
Yes.
right out of high school, he done a talent show there at high school, and then it just kind of, you know, then of course he
It
went in there
escalated.
and yeah, and it was quick. It was quick. Once they heard him in Sun Studios, it was.
Which
it was
gives a cause for us to compliment our Civic Center, the Manchester
Sure.
Arts Center, and places
Yeah.
that offer talent
Sure.
shows or give
Yeah.
young people a
You
chance
don't
to
never
be
know
seen
who
and
that
heard.
person will end up
Once in a
being.
while,
Yeah.
some great artist
You're sure right.
shows up. I think you're a pretty great artist, Jamie.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that, but I appreciate it. We work hard. We work hard.
I know you work hard. And when did you first get the idea that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I always loved the oldies music, even in high school, but it was probably about 10 years ago I decided to do a 50s show, and then we'd done the first one, and I was hooked.
And
like, I don't plan on not doing
Yeah,
it.
I remember talking to you about
Yeah.
it. I knew you'd hit on something that was going to be
I was shocked.
a forever
really.
event.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, let's don't forget.
Yeah.
March the 10th, Saturday, South Jackson Civic Center, 7 o'clock. The Elvis Presley Oldies show. And don't miss it. I mean, it's a great
gonna be a great show.
opportunity. I'm excited about it, and I'm glad I was smart enough to ask you all to
Well,
come
thank
and
you. We
perform at South
appreciate
Jackson.
y'all asking
We
us.
know we'll want you back. So I guess we have to go. Thanks,
Well,
Jamie.
Thank you for having me.
Keep it
Thank
up.
you.
We'll be back.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department. Need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Bob. Hi, gang. Well, I can't say thank you, camera ladies, today. I can say thank you, camera gentlemen and camera lady Jackie. Thank you for putting a good, contrasty, wonderful, sharp picture on the screen for all our viewers. And thank you, John, for that introduction, and Candy and Fuji. We've had a wonderful winter so far. Sun's out, and by the way, would you be my Valentine? Since today's I'll be your Valentine. This 14th day of February, 2002. Somebody asked me not long ago, said, we're talking about the different wonderful service clubs and organizations in Tullahoma, the Lions clubs, the Kiwanis clubs. There used to be a Civitan club here, and an Optimist club, and Junior Chamber of Commerce, and there are other clubs too. One in particular, though, people asked me about, said, well, how long has the Rotary Club been in Tullahoma? And I said, well, it's the oldest continuous service club in Tullahoma. It was founded or organized in 1921, and they received their charter in 1922, which makes it 80 years old, and it's been going strong ever since. And the Rotary Club was founded in Chicago in 1905 by an attorney up there by the name of Paul Harris. He was in his office daydreaming, I think, one day, and said, hey, his secretary or another attorney in there or somebody visited with him and said, said we ought to get together with some other business and professional people and exchange ideas about our career and our business. And sure enough, they started meeting together, 4 or 5 of them in different offices or different restaurants for lunch. And that's the reason they called it the Rotary Club, because they rotated between offices and they began to get organized informally, then formally. And they have a classification system in Rotary whereby only one or two from the different careers are classified to be and to have membership. In other words, they wouldn't want 50 or 60 insurance people or 50 or 60 grocerymen or all of the same vocation. They want to diversify so that they could exchange ideas about their career and businesses and meet new people, and that's the way it's been ever since it started. And the Tullahoma Club, as I mentioned, was chartered in 1922. The first president was a fellow by the name of Mr. Sharp Lanham that founded Lanham Manufacturing Company, which is now Worth Sports. But they met, there's about, I think, 15 and 20 of them met in the basement of the King Hotel for a number of years, and they would have programs among themselves or an outside speaker, or they have a big variety of programs. They have program chairmen for each week, and they meet every week in the year except at Christmas time. And they don't meet on the Christmas week or other time occasionally. But anyway, they do meet regularly, and one of the requirements for the membership is that members do have to attend their meetings or make up at a nearby club. Speaking of nearby clubs, the Tullahoma Rotary Club founded and was the founding father of the Winchester Club and also the Manchester Club. Up until recent years, there was 15, I believe, clubs in this district, District 6, 7, 8, and today there are 63 clubs in this district that is from Lebanon to Lewisburg and on over to as far east as Morristown and Knoxville and Oak Ridge, Chattanooga, and a lot of the clubs meet in the morning. There are two Rotary clubs in Tullahoma, the Noon Club, which is the oldest one, and it established the Morning Club in 1995, so that those that could not attend noon meetings could attend morning meetings. The Morning Club now meets at the St. Barnabas Church at 6:45 every Tuesday. The Noon Club had to move because from the basement of the King Hotel because they outgrew it, and met at in the dining room of First Methodist Church for years and years, and many years. And again, they outgrew that and met at the what used to be the Commodore, which is now the Executive Inn, in their dining room, and outgrew it, and for a short time moved out to Archie's on South Anderson Street. Well, that wasn't big enough, and the way the dining room was arranged, it could not be the fellowship that's necessary for good Rotary meetings. So they were invited to meet at the Tullahoma Golf and Country Club, and which they still meet there. They have 125 members, and about, I'm guessing now, about 15 or 20 years ago, up until that time, Rotary had always been a male organization. No particular reason for it, except it was just that way. But now, I guess a good 20% of the membership in Rotary is women, and they are leaders in their profession or business too. And the Rotary stretches throughout the world, and many of their programs certainly are just local programs, like they sponsor Boy Scout troops, they sponsor a young man to Boy State every year, and have been for many years. And scholarships, they have a program where they send high school or college graduates on leaves of study in foreign countries. The exchange students do that, and we have a program whereby a group of non-Rotarians come from a district on some other continent, come and visit. I know last year there were 5 or 6 Russians that came to this area, Russian business people, and they were delightful and enjoyed their visit here. And we have exchange groups that go to Europe and South America and every other place. And there's a foundation called the Paul Harris Foundation that a Rotarian or anybody else can be a Paul Harris Fellow. Then they use those funds for education and for the exchange student program. One of the biggest wonderful programs that Rotary has done in many years, and it was started by the late James L. Beaumont, that was the president of Rotary International in 1980 and 81, and it was a Polio Plus program. Polio was running rampant throughout the world, and as a project, Rotary solicited funds among their own membership and gave millions and millions of doses of anti-polio vaccine throughout the world, and it is almost completely eliminated, especially in the underdeveloped countries of the world. And they have had projects in underdeveloped countries, such as putting in fresh water and clean water wells and filtration plants. They have sent books and education materials throughout the world. I noticed in the latest Rotary magazine there was a couple of fire trucks that a couple of places in South America had no fire protection in their community at all, and the Rotary Club has sent fire trucks to those places. A great humanitarian place, and one of the successes of Rotary is that the local people get to know each other. The fellowship that's enjoyed within the Rotary Club is real pleasant, where businessmen exchange ideas and help each other. And I sure do thank you for watching today. This is not the end of the story, because there's a whole lot more to come, and we'll see you next week.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Jacob. I'm the Rooster.
And I'm the Red Maiden. And we would like to welcome you to
Roosterwear.
Yes, Roosterwear is a cottage industry producing accessories for men, women, children, babies, and pets. All items are hand cut and sewn locally. Roosterwear specializes in bow ties, pocket squares, scarves, cufflinks, neckties, and aprons of all sizes for all ages. Baby products include onesies, diaper covers, bibs, and burp pads. All bow ties, tie it yourself or pre-tied, come with an adjustable neckband. All products can be made with the material of your choice, as special orders are available upon request. Don't be standing back looking at fashion. Create your own with Roosterwear.
Come visit us at
roosterandredmaiden.com
to find our handcrafted designs for
the cock of the walk.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I don't get to do very often, because this is a family show. This show goes out to the family and the general public. I don't get to talk trash much. But I'm going to talk some trash today, because I've got the queen of Tullahoma trash right here with me, and that's Alderman Robin Dunn, because she's a champion of trash.
I didn't actually approve that nickname, but we'll go
No,
with the Queen of Trash. But
just
thank
having
you.
fun,
Thank
darling.
you, John. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying working on the Go Green initiative with the team, and one of the things that we're working on is an Earth Day celebration that's happening April 21st, and it's something that I want the entire public to be a part of, and it's just going to be a really good time. We're going to have some live music. Jughead Juice from Manchester is going to have some juices for sale. It's going to be great. We've got several businesses who are going to be involved. TUA is going to be talking about some of the things they've been doing with the lights. The Tree Board is going to have a booth. We've got.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good time. We've got Silly Kids Yoga is going to do some yoga during part of it. It should be fun. It should be a really good time.
One thing that has impressed me about you, one of many, and it might be your teaching experience that causes you to be this way, but you're very proactive. You get ahead of the curve, way ahead of the curve. And I think in society today, as busy as everyone is, the fact that you're here to present something that's going to be done in April is pretty smart, because it gets you ahead and maybe on somebody's planner.
Right.
Before that date gets taken for something else.
Absolutely.
So I think that's pretty sharp on your point, and I'm sure you'll continue to push this the closer it gets.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And a lot of what I've been doing as an alderman and something that I'm hoping to promote is it's all about relationships. And in a town the size of Tullahoma, it's about connecting one another and making sure that we all know kind of what's going on, and when there's a need. There's 99 times out of 100, there's someone who can fill that need right here. And so that's why the Tullahoma Animal Shelter is going to be there. So, I know there'll be some people who are going to participate in Earth Day, and they're going to say, you know what, this is something we can do. This is something that we can be a part of. And I've got to say, one group that is connected with me that I've really been very appreciative of is CFC Recycling. They are our first sponsor for Earth Day. Yes, and Andrew Rice.
Yeah.
They've been incredibly instrumental. They've been very helpful with the Go Green initiative. We're going to have some master recycling classes out there later in the spring. But that particular group has been an amazing team that's really given back to our community, and they've been very proactive with this Earth Day. So thank you, CFC Recycling.
Yes, yeah. They've always been partners. Tom has always been very, very proactive in many things around here, and they're very, very, very nice people. And
Yes, they
Andrew is
are.
back now, I guess,
Yes,
from
Andrew's
school
back.
and ready to take the second shift on
He
that deal.
is, he
Good
is.
for him.
And he's, and he's one who's really he sees that there's a need in this community, and he's wanting to provide. So I really appreciate him and Tom for all that they're doing.
Right.
So
They're good folks. They're good folks. So this. Are you through with that right there? Just for right now, just a minute. I'll
Sure.
put that on my door
Okay.
to make sure people see it.
Thank you.
Because I wanted to bring up a little bit more about trash.
Yes. Let's talk about
I
trash.
saw
Let's talk
last night
trash.
on the city board meeting that the Art Center
Yes.
is collecting trash, and they've gotten a grant to do a project on the grounds of DW Stamps.
CD Stamps, yes.
CD Stamps,
Mhm.
DW Wilson CD Stamps.
Mhm.
CD Stamps, and it's going to be like a big book
Yes.
depicting historical
The story of
events,
Tullahoma.
the story of
Mhm,
Tullahoma
mhm.
made out of trash.
Yes, it should be
I
beautiful.
think that is just absolutely incredible.
I'm excited.
Round
I'm
of
excited
applause.
about that.
Round
Yes,
of applause
yes.
there.
Pat Raleigh has been excellent. She's taken that torch on and just really flown with it. Her grant that she's received is to connect older citizens with younger citizens, and so it's going to be very much a group project, and she's leading the way on that. And I was excited to see the specs last night, so
Good.
it should be really
so
cool.
what you folks out there can do is they're looking basically for plastic,
Yes, of
and,
all-
and aluminum.
Of all colors.
Colors
Mhm,
is the
mhm.
thing, because
Yeah.
this is going to be in color. So if you have some plastic, something, Tupperware, something that you want to get rid of that's a bright color, anything that you've got that's brightly colored, find a way to get that you don't want anymore, or just want to make a donation to the Art Center. Take it over there and find a way. I think she said something about bags. They have bags that people are taking. People are taking around to collect with. So
Yeah,
I just think that's a great deal.
Yeah, and all those electric cords from that phone from 10 years ago that you don't need anymore, that's another, the little black wires. They're looking for that as well, as far as just something to give.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So black wires that you got that drawer in your kitchen.
Yeah,
that's
there
full-
you go.
so
Yeah,
just
go to the
take those
drawer.
to Pat at the Art Center. So
All of those phone plug-in cords that the phone you hadn't had in 10 years, they need them.
that's what they need. They're
They
looking for
need
those
them.
right now.
So, really proud of you and the way you're growing into this position and what you've done since you've been elected, and how you've jumped in there and battled and found something to champion. and that makes you happy. And you know, when you're happy doing what you're doing, you don't work a day in your life.
That's right. Yeah.
And appreciate you for what you've done and what you will continue to do.
Well, thank you, John.
And know that you're welcome.
Thank you.
Anytime you need to promote whatever it is, just come and we'll put it out there for you, okay?
Sure. Well, I appreciate that very much. So.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
John.
much for your
Thank you.
service, your
Yes, sir.
friendship, and all the hard work you do.
Thanks.
Folks, we'll be back after these messages.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the paint. Uh-oh. I just knocked a tree over. This is the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel at the paint works where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You know, you can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good because you work hard for them and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat, you know? They do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the paint works at 1960 North Washington Street and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fixes you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paintworks today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paintworks. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Okay, I want to, not that anybody would want to do this, but I want to tell all of our fans out there that if you want to hear, I wrote over the past couple of years what I call an Easter omnibus. An omnibus is a collection of thoughts or works that take to a certain point.
I'm glad you said that because I wasn't real sure.
I've always loved the word omnibus.
It's a good one.
It's a great word, and Easter omnibus just sounded great. And it is 5 pieces of poetry that I've written that take you from Jesus' entrance into Jerusalem to the ascension to the throne. And I'm going to be reading that at the potluck lunch at First Christian Church this Sunday, and that will probably start about 12 o'clock. And I'm going to present. Nice. I'm going to present that then.
Good.
So, and if none of you want to come, that's okay. But if you do want to come, that would be wonderful. We'd appreciate it. Now, speaking about it takes a village, and you find inspiration in many places. I was watching a movie this weekend with Jim Carrey and Morgan Freeman called God Almighty, and in the middle of it, Morgan Freeman says, if you want to see a miracle, be the miracle. Loku 140. As we search for answers amid the craziness, the first instinct is to assign blame. You want to see a miracle? Be the miracle. Don't look above. The magic lies within.
I like
We'll
that.
see you next time.
That's
Darius
good.
Wallace is getting ready for our Martin Luther King presentation today. Read the Rosa Parks speech the Epiphany speech. Yeah.
Daddy King did not want Martin Luther King to get involved with the civil rights movement. So at this stage in his life, he was already on the road to greatness. But this whole idea of greatness would change one day. When there was a woman, and the story goes that she was working hard all day. She was around Christmas time, and she was very tired. She had an arm full of shopping bags, and she stepped on to the local city bus to go home. And as the bus traveled through town, it filled up with people, and there were no more seats. And then 2 white citizens of Montgomery, Alabama, stepped on the bus, and back during that time, it was the law that a black person would have to stand into the aisle and give up their seat, or they'd have to sit in the back of the bus. And that Rosa Parks, because she had been working hard all day, she was very, very tired, and this time she wouldn't move. And the bus driver said to her, "Woman, if you don't give up your seat, I'm going to call the police and you'll be taken to jail. Do you plan to get up?" "No, sir." So called the police, and they came, and they took Rosa Parks to jail. But the truth of the matter is, Rosa Parks had been rehearsing this. She had been practicing this over and over and over again, which is what happened in the Civil Rights Movement. They practiced nonviolence. They practiced nonviolent encounters. And that Rosa Parks was actually a fireball. And she was taken to jail, and word got to Martin Luther King Jr., and he was so moved by Rosa Parks, he said he would stand with her even if it cost him his life. So he told all the people to stop riding the bus. But what that meant was they'd have to walk miles and miles to go to school, and they'd have to walk miles and miles to go to work. They'd take taxi cabs, they'd carpool, but they wouldn't ride the bus. And then Martin Luther King was thrown into jail. And after he was released, he continued to inspire and encourage the people. But there was another moment in Martin Luther King's life that completely changed his life. One night in Chicago, after a very unsuccessful protest, Martin Luther King was recalling this period of time in the mid-50s. And he gave a speech that would go down in history as the Epiphany speech. And that night, recalling what he was going through during the Montgomery bus boycott, Martin Luther King would say, "Sometime after finishing school, I was called down to a little church in Montgomery, Alabama. I started preaching there. Things were going well. It was a marvelous experience. But then, about a year later, a lady by the name of Rosa Parks decided she wasn't going to take it any longer. She stayed in her bus seat. And you may not remember, it was way back now, but it started the movement where 50,000 black men and women refused absolutely to ride the city bus. And we marched together for 381 days. That's what you got to learn to do in the North. Negroes got to learn to stick together. We stuck together. We sent out the call, wouldn't ride the city bus, and it was one of the most amazing things I had ever seen in my life. And the people of Montgomery asked me to be the spokesperson and the president of a new organization, and the Montgomery Improvement Organization was born. And they asked me to boycott, and I couldn't say no. And things were going well for the first few days. But then about 10 or 15 days later, when the white people of Montgomery knew we meant business, they started doing some nasty things. Started making some nasty phone calls. Some days more than others, I would receive 40 phone calls threatening my life. the life of my family, and the life of my children. And I took it for a while in a strong manner. But then one night, it was very late, it was around midnight. You can have some strange things happen to you around midnight. I had just finished working for the steering committee and I had gotten home very late. And when I got home, I immediately decided I would crawl into bed to go to sleep so that I could get up early and keep things going. When I got into bed, immediately the phone began to ring. And on the other end of the phone was an ugly voice. Said to me in substance, "Nigger, we don't like you or what you're saying. And if you're not out of this town in 3 days, we're going to blow your brains out. And we're going to blow up your house." Now, I've heard things like this before, but that night, it got to me. Tried to roll over and go back to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was frustrated and bewildered. I decided to get up and go to the kitchen to make some coffee, thinking the coffee could give me some relief. And as I sat there at the kitchen table, I began thinking about the theology and the philosophy I had learned at university, thinking I could give a theological or philosophical reason for the existence of sin and evil in the world, but the answer didn't quite come there. Began thinking about a beautiful little girl who had just been born. We have 4 children now, but we only had one then. And I'd go into her room night after night, and I'd look at that beautiful little smile, and I would think to myself how I could be taken away from her. But the answer didn't quite come there. I looked over at a beautiful and devoted wife, and began thinking about how I could be taken away from her, or she could be taken away from me. And I got to the point where I just couldn't take it any longer. And it seemed like a voice said to me, "You can't call on Daddy now. Daddy's up in Atlanta, Georgia, 175 miles away. You can't even call on Mama now. You gotta call on that someone. You gotta call on that power your daddy used to tell you about. That power that can make a way out of no way." And I discovered at that moment that religion had to become real to me, and I had to get to know God for myself. And so I knelt down that night, and I prayed out loud. I never will forget it. I said, "God, I'm down here trying to do what's right. I think I'm right. I think the cause we represent is right. But I must confess to you I'm weak, and I'm faltering, and I feel I'm losing my courage." But then at that moment, it seemed like a voice said to me, "Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. And lo, I will be with you always, even until the end of the world." I tell you, I've seen the lightning flash. I've heard the thunder roll. Felt the sin-wrecked dancer trying to conquer my soul. But then the voice of Jesus tells me to still keep fighting on. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. No, never alone. No, never alone. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. And Martin Luther King took up that mantle, and he continued to lead the Montgomery bus boycott, and 3 days later, Martin Luther King's house was bombed.